All right, welcome into Seminole Sideline 365. It is just me tonight. The old man is traveling tomorrow, so he is going to be not on, but we wish him well in his travels. I don't plan to make this a long one. I didn't even plan to come on tonight because obviously a lot of us had to get back to work tonight. But after the shit I just watched, I had to say something. This is probably the most embarrassed I've been at Florida State and as a Florida State fan in a while. And I think most fans right now should be embarrassed after the display and the effort that we saw tonight, being physically dominated in every aspect of the football game tonight. Offensive line, defensive line, all across the board. Florida State was dominated by Boston College, and you leave it at that. If you want to say anything about the game, you played poorly. Quarterback played poorly. Receivers played poorly. Linebackers played poorly. Defensive line played poorly. Defensive ends played poorly. Everyone played poorly except for special teams. Once again, kickers did their thing. Punting did a great job tonight. Everyone outside of skill position players, outside maybe Kentron and Portier, everyone else played terribly. I mean, I don't know why Morlack was still on the field after he dropped 4 or 5 balls, but he was still in the game for some reason. Personal fouls, you're shoving guys over on crucial fourth quarter drives to extend the game. TJ Ferguson, once again, this is not the team you had last year. This is a team. There is no leadership on this team. This is a team that has zero identity whatsoever. This is a team without a rudder. This is a team without any guiding light, guiding principles. And it's sad to see. This is a team with no hunger and no fight. And it's sad to see. This is a team that you were sold a narrative about all offseason. Every paid media site, Florida State wise, that you pay a subscription to, told you this was going to be an explosive offense. This was a team that was going to fight for a playoff spot. This was a team that had playmakers all over the field, Malik Benson and Jalen Brown. And this is a defensive ends. Patrick Payton, this was his money year. You had that defensive tackles. You brought these guys back and They were going to dominate. This is a top 5 line. Where is all this stuff? None of it's come true. You may have one of the worst defensive lines in ACC football, much less not even close to being the best. You may have one of the worst defensive lines in the country, much less the ACC. You may have one of the worst quarterbacks in the ACC. You may have one of the worst receiving rooms in the ACC. You may have one of the least explosive offenses in the country. You may have one of the worst defensive linebacking rooms in the country. All these media storylines we were fed in the offseason have totally flipped on their heads. And now watch the narrative change across all these sites now of, now they're going to reverse it back and it's going to act like none of this actually happened and was fed to us all the offseason. Even Mike Norvell in the offseason said how explosive this team was. Where's the explosiveness? This team can barely get a first down, much less throw the ball 20 yards. I mean, outside of Kentron's one touchdown where he broke tackles to get that play done, where is the explosive plays? What is happening with this team right now? I know it's a mixture of play calling and a mixture of DJ can't deliver the ball where it needs to be, and it's people dropping the ball. It's not all on DJ. I know it's not all on DJ because I see what's on the field right now. But you look at the stats. This team cannot run the ball. We can't establish the run because we can't get stops on defense early in games, especially. But you look up, we got 293 yards. That's the most empty 93 yards I've ever held. Like, you got 13 points and 293 yards. How empty is that yardage? When you can't close, you can't close when you're in the red zone. You can't close when you're on the other side of the field. You have no leaders on the team. You have no closers on this team. And look at the rushing yards. You didn't even get 30 rushing yards tonight. You didn't even get 30 rushing yards tonight. What year is this? Is this 2015? Are we back in the Willie Taggart era? Who are we? Who does this team want to be? Because I don't know who this team wants to be. They don't know who they want to be. What are we in year 4 or 5 of Mike Norvell now? And this is where we're at. This is an indictment on Mike Norvell, the staff he's built, and the recruiting he's done. Because if you've watched college football this weekend, You've seen true freshmen, you've seen redshirt freshmen make plays all across the country. If you watch the Georgia game, you saw KJ Bolden, who we were in the fight for, but could not close on. You saw him making plays against Clemson this weekend. I've seen true freshmen across the country all this weekend making plays. Where are the true freshmen for Florida State making plays? Why is it that we have no young guys making plays on this football team? Why is it that even our transfers that once again, Mike Norvell's the portal king, why aren't they making plays? Why? I honestly think that we made the wrong decision at a quarterback position. DJ is not the right player for this offense. He just cannot make the right plays. He does not have enough playmaking ability. And we said that. We said he's a good to average quarterback, but he's not Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis could make magic happen. He could close. He could make plays out of nothing. And maybe that covered up some of the roster stuff that was going wrong with Mike Norvell's high school recruiting ability. Because we're not seeing people make plays. We're not seeing enough playmakers on this offense. And that's always been the big thing. Mike Norvell's not become an elite recruiter, and we're on year 4 or 5 right now. We're not seeing elite playmakers on this offense or this defense. Nobody has been able to step up. And DJ is not an elite playmaker. No one's on this rushing attack has shown up to be an elite playmaker. And nobody on this receiving team, outside of Kentron today, has stood out to be an elite playmaker. No one is able to take charge and change the game for this offense or even on this defense. And it's frustrating to watch because you're just hoping drive after drive, someone will get the ball and make a big play and will this team to win. And nobody does it. Nobody does it. And it's frustrating as a fan to see. Because you're like, we've come so far from the end of the Jimbo Fisher era to the shit we had with Willie Taggart to then losing to an FCS school to an ACC title and winning the ACC. And now this. 2 straight losses. And you don't know what you have, and we don't know who we are. What has happened to this program? This is at home, too. You got embarrassed at home. And I don't want to hear the rah-rah bullshit speeches from Mike Norvell. You're going to go through adversity, You created this, Mike. This is your roster. There's no more excuses, Mike. You compiled this team. You compiled these coaches. This is on you. You created the adversity. You created this culture. You should not be losing to Boston College in year 5. You should not be only getting 30-yard rushing at home against Boston College as a 17-point favorite. Mike, you just got the big extension, Mike. You're a top 7 paid coach in the country. This is unacceptable. And you need to go home tonight, look at your staff, look at your roster, and decide what the hell you need to do to turn this around and turn it around quickly. And I don't think it's going to be fixed this season because this is a team that could lose 5 games easily, 5 or 6 games. We may be fighting for 7 wins based on what I saw tonight. And I'm convinced that DJ may not be the quarterback for us the rest of the season because I see no benefit in DJ being the quarterback for the rest of the season. What do we have to gain now? You're not a playoff team. You have 2 conference losses. You're guys, we're not fighting for the ACC title anymore. Let's just be honest here. So you likely need to go full youth movement and see what you have in Brock and see what you have in Luke. Let's just be honest. You need to lock in with who wants to actually play and see who you actually have on this roster moving forward. And actually see who you have as staff members because we know Randy Shannon's got to go. Because you've had him for 2 or 3 years now, and look at your linebacking room. And Mike Norvell didn't address that in the offseason, and now it's screwing him. Look at your defensive line. You have no young guys who can come up and make a big play, and you're stuck with Farmer's not stepping up enough. You got Patrick Payton, who I don't know what he does all game. He's not making an impact. I know he's so off and on. Farmer's not. This line cannot establish itself, and you weren't able to go out and get the big guys like you wanted in the transfer port. It's just so frustrating to watch. I'm sorry. It's just so unnerving because there just seems to be no hunger and no fight across this roster. And you see some of the top teams in the country, and you're like, what did we do wrong? And it's the recruiting aspect. It's the high school recruiting. And we've said this on past shows. We have not brought in enough blue chip game changing recruits on this roster and turned it over enough. I mean, this past season, you started to see the blue chip ratio go in the right direction, but it hasn't been enough. And now that is not an excuse for tonight because you should have won tonight, but you didn't make the run. You have not made enough of the right moves in the past few years. And you've seen why tonight. Why the effort, the playmaking. There's just too many. There's just too many holes across this roster. And then when you bring in some of the wrong players that don't fit the scheme, I don't think DJ used the right quarterback for this scheme. He's not a playmaker like Jordan Travis was. Jordan Travis was able to do things for this team. And then let's talk about Alex Atkins for a second. I know he's not on the field right now because of the suspension, but this offensive line got its butt kicked. And Alex Atkins gets so much credit for great offensive line, This offensive line got its ass kicked tonight, guys. Darius on the edge, he got beat. It felt like every other down, one-on-one. This offensive line is not good. And once again, they got heralded for all the experience and all these seniors, and they're the top offensive line in the country. Once again, we may have not even the top half of we may have the 5th, 6th, 7th ranked offensive line in the ACC. And once again, I've said from show to show, they're just not consistent, and it struggles sometimes. We couldn't even get 30 rushing yards tonight. We couldn't get the run game going early, and then it was too late to get it going late. The overhype from the media about this offensive line, this defensive line, these linebackers, these receivers, who, once again, it was all they could be, but they weren't because these receivers they have no numbers attached to their names. These offensive line, all they have is years of experience. They don't have any accolations attached to them. It's all this hype is dead now. No more talking about it, but you need to hold the people accountable who hyped it up all year. You need to hold these media sites that hyped it up all year accountable for what they said, because now it's come due. The rent has come due on that shit. It's frustrating because regardless too of what that hype was, there's no excuse to be losing these games, guys. There's no excuse. And that goes right back to Mike Norvell and what he has built here. This is an indictment on the roster he's built and the coaches he's brought in to recruit and construct this roster and to coach and develop these players. And the development is something that needs to be talked about. Why aren't players developing fast enough in this program? Why isn't Blake Nicholson making plays all across the field? He was one of your top recruited linebackers out of California. Why in year 2 is he not making plays all over the field? Why isn't, you brought Cam Davis in, almost a 5-star freshman. Why is he not getting more than 3 carries? Why isn't he have the ability to make plays in the open field? Why, you have these guys, we talked about these big recruiting class we had last season. Why aren't any of these freshmen playing and making plays across the field? Why can nobody on this team make big plays and step up when I see it all across the country on other teams? It seems like we have a lack of playmakers on this roster and a lack of leadership. Whereas last season, and that's some of the attrition from last season, right? You lost 12 players to the NFL draft, but I hate to break it to you guys, there's a lot of good teams that have a lot of attrition. That's part of being a top tier program. You're going to lose a lot of guys to the draft. You're going to lose a lot of guys to graduation. You churn out a lot of good players when you're a great program. but you got to get used to it. You got to replace them with top tier talent again. That's what Georgia does. That's what Alabama does. That's what great programs do. It's not an excuse. You can't say, well, guys, we lost 12 players, so, we're going to have a shitty season. That's not how it works in college football. If you want to be an elite program, you got to be able to replace those guys with the young, fresh talent that are ready to go. It's not an excuse in college football nowadays. So, yeah, this is you're going to hear it from Miami fans because they feel like they're back. They got a great quarterback who stomped Florida in the swamp, and their bullseye is going to be on us. We don't play them for a little bit, but they're going to be wanting to come, and they're going to want to stomp us out. And I don't know what the direction of this Florida State team is. Right? We still have no identity. We don't know what we are as a football team right now. I don't even know who our quarterback will be, honestly. And I want to state, this game wasn't entirely on DJU. He missed a lot of balls, but also skill position players didn't step up. I mean, yeah, a lot of guys dropped a lot of balls tonight, but he missed a lot of balls. He missed some touchdown throws in the back of the end zone that overthrows. He had a lot of bad overthrows too. It just, and I mean, we can talk about defensive line all night. Just bullied. That defensive line lost a lot of money tonight, in my opinion, because that tape at the next level, NFL scouts will watch that defensive line tape and say, if you got bullied by Boston College, why aren't you going to get bullied in the NFL? I mean, they got absolutely dominated. This defensive line did. It's sad. It's really sad. So I just need to get that off my chest. I'm sorry. I'm just super disappointed, guys. Because I love this team. I know you guys love this team. And, I may have not had as lofty expectations, but I thought this team could compete for an ACC championship because I believed in the vision. I believed that they had enough talent to beat the likes of Boston College and Georgia Tech, and that they would have tough competition with Clemson and NC State and Miami and teams like that. But I didn't think we would stumble like this. No. I thought we had the basic coaching ability and the basic minimum talent level to do things like this. But apparently I was even wrong about that. So this will be an interesting week for the program. But I do not want to hear the BS speeches from Mike Norvell about adversity and overcoming adversity. No, you need to do some real soul searching about the direction of this program, Mike, because we paid you a lot of money. And these results, this is not ROI. This is not the ROI we're looking for right now. So there needs to be some big decisions made about this staff and about who you're playing moving forward, because DJU is not going to be here next year. And there's going to be a lot of guys who will not be on this roster next year. So I think he needs to look at development of the roster, who's going to be playing on this team next year, and what his next year's vision for this team is. Because this can't happen 2 years in a row. And he needs to be thinking about retainment of recruits that are already in this pipeline. Because this recruiting class, who everyone's raving about, is probably, you don't think Miami is already on the phone with all those recruits right now, trying to get them on board? Yeah, that's why I don't get excited about summer recruiting and hype. Because when this shit happens, recruiting classes start to fall apart real quick, So he better be on the phone. He better be looking at his staff. He better be looking at this roster and say, what is my plan for the next 24 months? Because there needs to be some changes made quick. So thank you all. I hope you guys have a good night. Once again, it's only football too. I take it serious now. I get over it in the morning. It's just football at the end of the day, but it hurts. It hurts to lose games like this, but at the end of the day, it's just football and we'll get over it. But I hope we can bounce back. I hope we can move on from this game and this team can find itself and it can find its leadership and decide who they want to play. And you're going to go against Memphis, which is not going to be an easy game, right? And Memphis will not be an easy test for Florida State. And once again, it's Mike Norvell's, old stomping ground. So the games won't get any easier, but you do have, 2 weeks to get ready for that one. So it'll be an interesting 2 weeks and to see what the conversations are like for that. So hope you guys had a good long weekend. I know this is a tough way to end it, but we'll see what happens the next 2 weeks and what the conversations are like. But let's go easy. I know I was tough on criticism here, but remember it's football, and let's not make it personal on the players. They're, like I said, I gave my criticism of the quarterback, gave my criticism of the defensive line, but let's keep it at the football field and what it is. So, thank you all. Have a good night. And as always, go Knowles, but we need to step it up. We all know they need to step it up, and they're getting paid to do it. So hopefully we'll see some of this ROI in the future here. But always go Knowles. Let's support this team, and let's see what changes are made in the next 2 weeks. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great one. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.